All right, hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of Diamond Rivera Films, and you are tuned into a special episode of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast, season 4, episode 2. And today we have, honestly, in my eyes, I consider him a mentor in our New York City dance scene. Honestly, as well, I consider a legend in our New York City salsa scene, the one and only Jeff Huracán Taveras.
What's up? Thank you for
What's
having me. Excited to
abs-
be here.
absolutely my brother, man.
Let's
And
get this
honestly,
started.
absolutely. And, at least before we get started on things, honestly, I really appreciate you coming on. And like we've talked about privately as well, I told you this has been a long time coming. For me, seeing how many years you've been able to dance, you also being an organizer of events, being also a dance director, a studio owner, you've taken on many facets as well as a champion in a competitive field with your team, Huracan. I think honestly tonight is a true celebration of your success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot to digest.
I mean,
But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing and using your platform to, to really stay in touch with the scene, especially now. Things like this are needed now more than ever. So let's get to it. Let's have some fun.
yeah, man, absolutely. And for me, I think it's so much importance that we have to stress is that we understand the success that you've had and you've accumulated over your life, but people really want to also understand how it started because we see where you are presently, but we know it started from a certain point of your life. So for me, and many of the dancers probably would love to know is how did you really get started in this dancing that we have?
All right. So the way I started dancing was what was it? Junior year high school of college. Junior year college. I would come back every summer. So I went to Dominican College with Edwin Tolentino. I can't tell if he won yet, but shout out to Edwin. We went to him and I went actually went to high school and college together, and we played baseball. So when I came back for the summer, I went to the gym on Queens Boulevard called Lost Battalion Hall to play basketball. I used to go 2 or 3 days a week, and I would play ball and whatever. So this particular day, I parked 3 blocks away from the school. I'm walking back, and I see a young lady who's one of my mentors. Her name is Tiffany Rivera. I see her. She's like standing outside a door in a basement, and I see her, and she goes, "Hey, come over here." And I'm like, so I walk over. She goes, "Oh, we do salsa lessons here." She gives me a flyer, and I looked at it and I'm like, I always wanted to dance salsa. So the next week I showed up and took my first class. So I took 2 classes, and I had to go back to school, but within the 2 classes, I was hooked. My first it's so funny because last year or the year before, I'm in the Poconos, and Ismael Otero brings, his team, and I see one of the guys dancing. His name was Cisco, and he was actually my first instructor. He taught me my first class. This was back in 2003.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you were like 8 years in, right?
Yeah.
You're right. You know what I'm saying? But he taught me my first class, and that year my brother was in bed because he had shattered his leg. My brother, Adrian. So that was it. I took my first class. Went to back to school. The following year, I came back, and that year, Edwin and I are hanging out a lot. My brother and I are hanging out a lot, and I wanted to return the salsa classes. So I didn't really know how to do it, uh,
Yeah.
but I had to. sit my brother down, like, hey boy, I want you to try something. Just try one. Come back. What is it? Salsa class. He didn't want to do it. Convince him to do it. He shows up. He gets hooked the first day. And then I said, all right, now I gotta get Edwin in. But I thought Edwin would be tougher because Edwin, he's quiet.
Oh my!
So I'm like, damn, how am I gonna get Edwin to come take classes with me? So I'm like plotting all day, and then I just thought, yo, Edwin, look, I want you to hear me out. I want to try something. He goes, what? I go, yo, I'm gonna take you some salsa lessons. Come with me. And he's like, I'll come. Then it was easy. It was real easy. And he went and he got hurt. So we took a few classes that summer, went back to school, same deal. And then the following year when we came back, we started taking it serious. So we were taking our classes. We were trying to be the best students in that school. And long story short, we wanted to perform.
Okay.
And that was Jorday Rivera's dance studio, which is still up, very successful. She has a tremendous youth program. It's really based more for the kids.
Yeah.
And we wanted to perform, so the person that was giving us classes, he recommended that we take classes in the uptown, one of the uptown schools. So we started taking classes in Nelson Flores, Santorico, Eddie Torres. The place I really wanted to dance at that time was Eddie. I wanted to dance, but Eddie dismantled his team that year.
Oh, so yes.
That was the year that Eddie Torres dances were kind of shut down. Mm-hmm. I used to take his class at Carnegie Hall. It was like, for anyone, if anybody's on from my team, it was a Sunday class and it was 4 hours long.
Oh my God.
2 hours science, 2 hours partner work.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. And we ended up with Nelson for the first 3 months. So we ended up with Nelson. The problem was Nelson had his team. His team was kind of like solid.
Yeah.
So Edwin and I, were kind of like on the fence as to what to do, because he basically had 5 guys and he added my brother, and my brother kind of just went right in the mix. And Thomas bumped into us at an event, and he was like, hey man, you guys didn't come back. I was like, yeah, your style was a little tough. And he was like, nah, you guys have good timing, you should come back. We came back to Thomas, and a week later he asked Edwin and I to join Exhibición, and the rest is history.
Man, that's amazing, because really understanding how it really started with you, Abel, and Edwin. And many people, like you said, Edwin Tolentino, for me, I'm always inspired by him. But what I love about him is really his humility and understanding, like, this man is really well-versed and well-rounded in dance, but he just keeps that solid, straight face. And it's as cool as a cucumber. But at least before we keep going, I definitely want you to know is that throughout the interview, we will have some real live time comments coming in through Facebook and YouTube.
I just hit the comments button and I see a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. My boy Ray Colazzo here.
I want to wish happy birthday to Catherine Johansson.
Yes.
We have a wonderful routine that her and I have put together. I can't wait to debut it. The Mambo engineer, that's Edwin himself. Edwin and I, we go back to high school baseball. You know what I'm saying? We go back to high school, college baseball. That's my right-hand man. So just a few things.
Even too, we have the one and only Miss Arelis Beato from Tropical Image here.
That's my girl.
As well as Ziana.
Yeah, man, she's awesome.
And of course, from the Huracan family, Miss Liz here. I love Liz.
That's right, Liz. Oh, she's been holding me down since we opened. So I appreciate everybody. Um, Stay active. I have fear of public speaking, so you
I
guys
know.
talk more.
Absolutely, but for me, like I think it's so important that we're understanding how everything started because I think sometimes people get lost in translation, but not realizing like you went from here to here to here. But I love how this is
Well,
going.
I just want to add something else. There was no social media when I started.
Yes, that is very
Oh,
important.
so like finding a school wasn't that simple. It was kind of word of mouth, right? And then people kind of just told you how things were done, and you followed the game plan. So the game plan is if you want to perform, you got to find a semi-pro team. And at the time, you know, it was like, which one is it? Which is the school that you're going to join? And then once you join the school, you kind of stuck with the school.
Yeah.
You didn't really train with anybody else. You stayed within your clique, and you grew within your clique. So it was kind of everything was new. Everything
Yeah.
was real fresh, real new.
No, no. You're so right, and I guess for me too. Like we talked about, me dancing for a long time. Like I was much younger, but seeing you starting around 2003, 2004, and then working with Santorico, as you said, I think it was really impactful for me as a young dancer because I was a kid who was definitely on the chubbier side in my group. And we realized too, when it comes to like the dance scene, there's usually like an image that's attached to a lot of the males of how the male should be, how the male should look. And for me, I honestly could say I felt like you and Thomas and many other dancers really broke that mold and really were like saying, we're here to dance. It's not about just how I look in a sense, but what I'm presenting to you on the stage.
Well, for me, I mean, I'll be honest with you. The first time that I saw Tom on social dance, I was like, all right, I want to look like him because
Yeah.
he's bigger. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't really the first time I was asked to be put on a team, I was like, well, I'm not really, I'm a big baseball player. I can't really do much of these things. I'm not really, supposed to be here kind of thing. But then I saw him and I was like, wait a minute, I can kind of do the things he's doing. So that's why I was so attached I was so determined to go to Santorico. And at the time, I didn't know it, but Santorico was probably one of the strongest teams around. So it wasn't, in that sense, it wasn't really a bad choice, I guess, because the team was pretty strong.
Yeah, and what you also said too was important about the lack of social media. And like you said, that when people wanted to back then really find a school to learn, you had to really research. There wasn't really visuals or promotional videos, a lot of different schools. So for you, like to kind of, there was a way that Thomas kind of, you guys connected, and then him actually kind of giving you that push in the beginning of like, no, come back and learn. Because like you said, there was a career for you, or you felt, in baseball. So to see kind of how baseball, you kind of distance away in a sense from baseball, and dance kind of fell more into your life.
Yeah. I basically, well, I graduated college, but a lot of people don't know this. I had a job offer from the St. Louis Cardinals as a scout.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would have had to move to Florida. And, I interviewed, I did everything, and I turned it down. And I don't regret it. It was time to let go of baseball, try something new. Uh, but yeah, and I had a profession. I mean, I graduated in May and I got hired July 3rd or something like that. So and I was a higher education professional already.
Wow.
By the time I started dancing, I already had a career.
Wow.
So it was an interesting time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because people have to understand too, for many people who are not in the dance scene or the Latin dance scene specifically, Most dancers, there's usually two types of dancers: one that dedicate them lives to dancing, and those who can have a passion for it but still have a regular job outside of dancing. And realizing too, I think you probably understood in the beginning how expensive costumes can be.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah, there's no. I mean, I don't wanna say it like this, but you know, this is not a lucrative lifestyle
no.
by any means, regardless of what we see on Instagram or Facebook. It
Yeah.
looks good, but it's not a lucrative lifestyle. Like that's just not the way. You know, we're all starving artists. I don't care who you are. If you're gigging, you're starving, and
Absolutely.
and I mean the secret's out because look at what the pandemic has done.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it, if you look at the pandemic and you think about some of the artists that are out there, you know, we're all starving artists. We're only as good as our last gig or our next gig. And when that next gig is not coming, I mean, you know, it's a huge setback. You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
there's no retirement plan for us or you know like a secret account. It's just not the way it works. So.
And no, it's true, and people have to realize as well that when it comes to studios, we've realized during this pandemic how many studios are able to stay afloat and studios that are no longer around. And we realize too, like studios aren't cheap. If you don't have customers and you're paying rent every month, it definitely adds up. But I mean, it's a testament to many of the studios that are still able to keep their businesses.
Yeah, tough time.
Absolutely. So then realizing when you kind of started with Thomas, and I've known Thomas quite a few years, and I've had the
Yeah.
pleasure of training with him for a few months, but I really wanted to know initially when you're on these teams and you slowly are traveling more and traveling, when did you notice that the team you were on really started to really make a name for themselves?
Well, no, I don't want to say that. The team that I was on had a name.
Gotcha.
You know, I was. You know, I would like to think that I was part of keeping it up, but I'm not gonna say that I was part of putting us on the map because I wasn't. The team already had an established reputation.
Yeah.
You know, once you know we did our first show. Uh, I think well, the first Congress while I was on the team, I didn't perform at the first one. Was Boston Salsa Congress, the one
Okay.
that David used to do, and we,
Yes.
you know, it was clear who SR was. You know what I mean? Once they performed there, and I saw it, I was like, all right, we're a big deal. This team's a big deal. You know, for me, you know, it's funny because I never loved the travel. It's gonna come a shock to a lot of people, but you know, I had the same high performing in Cache that I did in Germany. It did
Ooh.
not. It didn't. It didn't change. Like you know, your performance. You know how you
Yeah.
get the butterflies in your stomach and all that. The big stage just never did that to me. It never changed. It felt exactly the same way from my first student performance at Jordanes to performing in Greece in front of 8,000 people. It just never changed for me. I guess you know I was never like the best dancer on the team, but it's very rare I made mistakes. You know,
Gotcha.
throughout my career, I can't really say that I've made many major mistakes in the show. Like I've had everything. I've fallen down. I've had my
Yeah.
shoulders. But in terms of like forgetting choreography, very or like getting lost in choreography, maybe once or twice since I've been dancing, because you know the it just the stage just never made me uh super nervous like that. I always just reacted to it. You know, I was a closer as a pitcher. I would come in the last inning.
Yep. So you know,
And if you blew the game, you had to have short-term memory, which meant that you had to really get it out of your head. You had to do it the next day. So for me, the dance never put me in that position.
and that speaks volumes because realizing how kind of the baseball life
Hmm.
affected into your dance career, because
Hmm.
making you realize that no matter how big the stage is, it's still just a performance.
Yeah.
But then I think too, what we really see is that, especially in New York, when we had the salsa scene, there were your professional groups, and then
Yeah.
there were your amateur groups. You knew the difference. And
Hmm.
for me, then, like you said, with SR, with you guys traveling then globally, places like Switzerland
Yeah.
and so many more places, I think that's where the separation came into, because no matter what member of the team came and went throughout the years, people knew that if they saw SR, they were going to get a show.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's
and one thing I can say, and I'm amazed, is that, like you said, it was only one or two times that you kind of lost track of things. And the reason I say I'm amazed is because for people who don't know, in Santorico, they were known as a university of spinning.
yeah.
So all those combinations, and for you to literally be like tunnel vision and get it and get it mainly all the time, and you kind of just having a nonchalant approach to it, I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely different.
I remember. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to Louis Lopez. I'm sorry, I just saw you. Shout
Oh
out to
yeah.
Stevie. Shout out to Stevie BX. I haven't seen you in a minute, my brother. I hope everything is well. Shout out to Linda. But let me in SR, I guess like the one thing, the one main memory of SR that I have was when we performed in Berlin, and when we did that show, like I mentioned this the other day, but one of the highlights of the show for me in Berlin was we were dancing again. I mean, this is thousands of people, small stadium, but it's
Yeah.
still a stadium. And I was dancing with Destiny Rusi. She has
Yes.
choreography. I was dancing with her, and a skirt, one of the ladies' skirts landed at my feet.
Mm.
So while I'm dancing, the skirt lands next to me. I have, a bunch of dancers, like really, really popular Europe dancers. They're actually sitting on the corner of the stage because this is a stadium. The stage is so big.
Yeah.
So like Juan and I think Adolfo was there,
Mm-hmm.
Karel, Flores, and Osmal. They all kind of like watching, we're doing this hour production. And I remember I did the turn pattern and I went to my knee, I picked up the skirt, I threw it, and Germany kind of like erupted because I caught the turn pattern and finished it.
Oh man.
I didn't even think about it. I just did it, and that's what I'm saying, that like I was always pretty good at, not messing up.
Yeah. I mean, because when we talk about messing up, and especially in New York, I mean, for many people who don't understand, when it comes to like performance times at some of the socials we go to and congresses and events, you have your people out there that are waiting for a mess up. We we have those in the crowd that are just waiting for something to go wrong and waiting for a piece of the costume to fall. And I think honestly, realizing throughout myself teaching or even performing, I really give it up to people like yourself, because you can travel the world, go from country to country, city to city, and just constantly perform, but giving that same energy and that same effort every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I've met some incredible people,
And then,
incredible along
no,
the way.
absolutely. So then, I really want to then understand. So you've been able to train and perform and travel. What were really kind of the initial reception to kind of like SR when they would be at these events? Was it kind of like everybody was in shock and awe, or were they kind of just like the regular people in the events? Was there kind of a different feel when kind of the SR team or the crew came around?
I mean, I think everybody had their niche. We were social dancers. Um, Edwin and I would dance literally all night.
Mm.
All night. I mean, literally all night. So, that was, at the end of the day, I think that was like our niche. Like looking back at it, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, we had good shows, but I wouldn't say it was the shows. I would say uh, it was more of the, uh, that we social dance.
Yeah.
We social dance and we interacted with the people that attended the events. So when you get onto that circuit, you'll
Mm-hmm.
start seeing people going from place to place. You know, you'll see somebody in, I don't know, in London one week, and then you'll see them 2 months later in Switzerland, and they remember
Yeah.
you. So they'll remember how you treated them, that
Mm-hmm.
that you looked out for them and stuff like that. So I think that was more of our niche. Um, you know, we definitely brought, I guess, a more traditional style than what
Mm.
was going on, because that contemporary look that we see now, it was starting 10 years ago in Europe. And,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you were starting to see a lot of Afro, and you were starting to see, some of the hip hop stuff. And, we came out and we stayed traditional. So, and it worked. But I would say that was really what was it. Like, people were just looking forward to social dance and hanging out with us. I think that's what we were excelling at.
Yeah, no, no, I agree because I definitely remember from my previous training, I was always told was that it doesn't matter what choreography you can do, the social dancing aspect is really one of the most important because especially you being a performer, you have to be able to interact with the crowd to also network your own brand itself.
Yeah.
And so for me then realizing you've been able to travel, you've been able just to like experience so much, what do you can say, or besides Berlin, especially maybe in the city, and maybe this is a question can be tough, is who are some of the female, or I would even just say female, but follows in general that you really admire dancing through social dancing? Because I mean, sometimes there's always those dances that they just click with you and just
Yeah.
work in unison
Well, from outside of
everywhere,
doing,
anywhere.
um, Desiree is is uh is someone that we've always had good dancers.
We're talking about Desiree Godsell.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And you know what's dope about Desiree? I was, you know, I never. She called me out on it eventually, because in the beginning I would go out and she would always ask me to dance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would never ask her because I was like, man, she's good, and I used to like watching her dance. But when I was out social dancing, uh, it was just, it was different, man. It
Yeah.
was a little bit more. It was just about the dance. Like when we showed up to Cache, we didn't get dressed. We
Mm.
were in sweats. We went just like this, and we brought one shirt. And Choco was there. We would buy 3 shirts
Mm.
for Choco, and we would dance all night. And that's what it was. It wasn't like how good you look. We just brought our shoes and we just threw down. However, and we wanted to dance for everybody. We wanted to
Yeah.
try different things, and we were just excited to be there. So, but her name always comes to mind. I mean,
Mm.
there's so many awesome social dancers, but her name always comes to mind.
That's amazing. I mean, I honestly agree with you. Desiree Godsell, I would just say, is a goddess on the dance floor. Just the way she moves, the grace, the style. And again, that speaks a lot because we realize over the years as dancers, you come in contact with so many dancers, and when you can actually say in your mind like, wow, this is one person that I just connect with. I
Yeah,
mean, many of us have that. So then, in your time with Santorico, like you said, you were with Exhibición, but we
yeah,
then also realized there comes a point in many dance schools who have teams. There's the semi-pro, which I would
yeah.
consider Exhibición, and then there's Santorico Pro.
Right.
So, how long would you say did it take for you to get from Exhibición to Santorico Pro?
For me, exactly 1 year. Took me exactly 1 year to do it. One
And
year from the day that I started, he asked me to start training with the pro team,
so
and
what?
so it was pretty quick for me. Except then I spent 2 years on both teams.
Yeah, and I completely get it because I love, especially with Puerto Rico. Even though you would see the pro team, you would see
Yeah,
Exhibición, and you had to like do both of them, no matter what. Somebody had to come in and come out. And to
yeah,
me, like I still remember some of SR's famous routines with Gangster. Man, there's so many, but even like the people, like Jahira. I think at one point there was Juan Matos, there was Mario B, there was yourself, there was Fausto at one point, and
yeah.
realizing honestly, besides that, Misotis, Carmen,
Shout out to Mint.
man,
She just checked in. Shout out to Mike.
yes, man,
Missed
and
my brother.
absolutely. And this is again, I love that we can have these conversations because we realize how many people know the stories and know what happened. So
Yeah,
then when you're in Santorico Pro,
yeah.
what could you tell myself or the audience to make us really understand what it's like to be on a professional team like that?
I mean, at the time, things were a little different than now. Um, I guess, for me, again, it, the work of being on the team, it wasn't that difficult for me. I can't, regardless of how I feel about some of my experiences, um, I can't say that the 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 toughness of being there was wasn't really that hard for me. You know what I mean? It was tough. He demanded a lot, but so did every coach I ever played for. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that big of a deal. Same thing with Edwin. I'm sure you'd
Yeah.
say the same thing. Like, when in college, if we messed up, we could run in 10, 11 miles. In SR, we messed up, yelled at us, and then it was like, all right, hit play, let's go again. So it wasn't that tough. What was tough about being in SR was that the culture and the demand that he put on on us with the responsibilities to the studio, they were very difficult. And during my time in SR, like one thing that I did, I don't know if I could do if I could do it all over again. I don't know if I would because thinking back at it, I can't really say that I was really dying to travel or perform or do anything like that. I think I was just in love with the companionship that I had with with someone who wrote Liz,
Yeah.
Liz with Jahira, with Edwin. Even later on when Maria came and Fausto
Yeah.
and Destiny and Julie and it was cool like us hanging out and us being a part of uh, that family atmosphere. That was what was it for me. The dancing was just kind of a byproduct after the first 2 years. You know what I mean? And because of that, I actually quit in 2009 and I stopped. So I stopped for a while. I stopped for over a year, and then There was some issues with the studio, and I came back because of that.
Yeah.
So, but I can't, for the work level, the work ethic, the responsibility, the way I'm a process person. I trust the process. So it didn't really get to me on the level that it probably would get to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Those things didn't really affect me.
Yeah, and realizing I think too is that you're able to move on from a situation faster and not internalize it. But I
Yeah,
think too, what was different was that you were a person coming in not expecting a whole lot. You're just coming in, I do my job, I get in and I get out.
yeah,
While you have other dancers that once they get up that opportunity, it kind of just changes their whole world and their perception and how they treat things. So I mean, for me, that's why I really respected people like you because you came in, you look like you here to do your job, get in, get
right,
out, have a few dances, have some fun, and that was it.
right. So I wasn't really in love with some of the other things that a lot of new dancers go through. I wasn't, look, just to keep it real, I wasn't really into hooking up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was just not my thing. I'm not knocking anybody for it. I did my thing in college, but once I got to SR, I was over that part of my life. So a lot of that goes on. A lot of the
Yeah.
guys, they get, or even the ladies, they get really excited about meeting people, and for me, it wasn't even like that. I wanted the companionship of my immediate group, but I was ready to go home when it was done. I wasn't really too. I wasn't excited by all those other little things that everyone goes through at some point or another.
That's true. And I mean, because to be honest, when anyone is told, like, I need you, or you're working your way up to be on the semi pro team and the pro team, for many people, when they're on a pro team, their whole just focus changes. But I love is that you really kind of kept the same energy and the same focus throughout. And like you said, throughout the years, you've definitely had your ups and downs within that company. And then, kind of fast forwarding, me myself, I got to understand SR and the people within it at a younger age. I still remember in 2009, I went to SR and I performed when I had the all guy group East Side Edition.
Inside
And
of this, yeah.
yes, man. And to be honest, I don't even think Thomas remembered, but I remember asking him who, like, what's your name, because I never knew your name. I would see you come in, you had that straight face, you come in, all right, where's the bathroom, we get ready, all right, no time we going on, we get in, we get out. And I admired that because I guess so many people, they it's like a fairy tale for them in this world. Like when they get a little bit of applause, sometimes people's heads tend to get a little bit bigger than normal.
Yeah. Now I was always like the big brother of the team. That was my job. You know what I'm saying? I was there to really control the beats, blow ups, to give confidence to people. That's my thing. And I think, that I'm more turned on by being on a team than anything else. A team. That's why a solo career, I get solo gigs, but I hate it because I'm just
Yeah.
not built for that. I want the camaraderie of being part, with the team.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then understanding there was a point, I believe, around 2012 or maybe
Yeah,
13. This was when Santorico Harlem was closing. This was where, and this is a really funny, I mean, I wouldn't even say funny story. I think it was an interesting story for me because I remember Santorico Harlem was closing. We were doing this big old production. I still remember Mike Movimiento was there,
yeah,
and we were
yeah.
going through these productions.
2015. This is
Yes,
January 2015. Yeah,
15, yes. So then I remember I had the dreadlocks and everything. I was on a whole different wavelength, but I remember it was me, River, and we were like the youngest people there. And I still remember, like, I would see you, I would see Thomas, And I remember this about Thomas, and this is like he loves to pinpoint people and focus squarely on them and almost challenge them of, can you get this? Can you get this? But I remember we were doing this production, and you were in charge of making sure the guys had that solo part down. Because this was a long production y'all were doing, and I still remember that you told me straight to my face, you don't got it. And it was like, and he says, you're not going to, and I remember you told me, you're not going to do this part. And he says, yo, we waited, you couldn't get it, and that was it. And I was like, okay. And for me, most people would take that moment and be like, what does he mean? But I really understood coming from a professional, like, no, this is not your time. You will perform this in some capacity. But even though it was that part I loved, I realized I wasn't ready. And hearing it from a person like you who was chill and just like observe it, I respected it a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I, I guess I've always been a little bit direct.
No, and that's the thing too. I love that. I loved it.
Yeah, but there's a lot that has changed also.
Yeah.
The way I run my team now versus even 2 years ago is very different, and I've learned a lot, and I've learned that you can get a lot more done, um, just by giving people confidence than really being on the attack mode. And I think that there's no playbook for any of that stuff. You got to figure it out as you go.
Absolutely. Because
And it's easy to like look and be like, oh, well, that's working for them, so let me try that.
yeah,
You have to figure yourself out, and that takes time.
it's
You know,
true. And I also still remember from that point we had performed the production at Taino Towers, and I remember there was kind of a buzz of like what was gonna happen, and then you guys kind of made that big announcement that it was gonna be in Queens and Northern Boulevard. I believe that if I'm right.
yeah, we were in
And
Junction first.
Injunction first in Corona.
Yeah,
Yes, that was the first studio, and I remember you and Abel and the rest and Julie. And I got to give a big shout out to Julie because if people don't know, Julie started from young. She
yeah,
was one of the Santoriquitas and worked her way up.
yeah. Julie's a beast.
I definitely respect that because like the years, the time, the sweat, the long hours in the studio till you don't know what time you're going home, like
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah. It is. It is.
You
But
know.
but yeah, no. I mean, it was definitely it was a cool time. I mean, there. If I could, when I think back of it again, though, it always goes back to the friendships and the people that I met throughout that time. You know what I mean? Like that's all you're gonna have left in the end. You know what I mean? It's the stories of the hard work are cool, but when you go back to that time, is the people that you met along the way and the stuff that you were able to do together. Those are the things that you're gonna take with you. I try to tell my team members that, but I don't know if some of them may get it, some of them may not.
Yeah, I mean, so then realizing you've had the studio in Corona,
Yeah,
what were those initial feelings like of now really being a studio owner?
again, I mean, the it's not something I don't know if I really wanted to do it at that time, to be honest with you. It- and go in the beginning, it was really hard. I think when we broke off and we became Huracan, that's when everything changed for me. Because things weren't going good, and I needed peace of mind. And once we became Huracan,
Yeah.
the first thing that happened was anybody that had a relationship kind of clipped me. All right. So for those of you that like to talk about cancel culture, we were canceled first. All
Okay.
right?
I
It
mean,
was completely canceled. All
oh
right,
my,
we lost all our work. We lost a lot of our dancers. We lost a lot of our students. But what made it great was that it kind of gave me a chance to restart
yeah.
and do it how I wanted to do it. And after that, after that first year, that 2016 year sucked. But after that
Hmm.
2016 year, once 2017 hit, things started to go in a very, very different direction for us. And I started to enjoy it again.
Yeah, I mean, because again, like you said, there was a point that the transition was from Santorico into Huracan. So you really becoming your own brand and really, like you said, starting from scratch. Because we understand when it comes to dance schools, there's always students coming and going. But I think,
Mhm.
like you said, at that time, it was a trial period of understanding what is my school going to look like
Right,
post post this decision. But
right.
also, I can say is that you've made a great choice because, to be honest, following from when Huracan first started, I still remember that video when the name was changed to Huracan. I remember at that event, I
Yeah,
was there, and I'm like, I knew I was like, there's something special here because already you had your dedicated, loyal dancers already.
yeah.
Who, if people don't know, who used to be part of Santorico, so already you
Well,
had
some of them. Well,
yes, some of them. Some of
yeah,
them was yes. I remember some of them were before even with Santorico, but other different schools. Because again, people are always looking to find something new to challenge them, and I can say from experience from the classes, they're definitely challenging. From the
yeah,
turn patterns, the just the innovativeness, and for me, I can honestly say from my past experience of training, I love is that, especially with the routines that Huracan has performed over the years, the intricacy, the creativeness, and the fluidity is extremely different. I still remember Huracan when you guys did the routine with the actual band there, the
yeah,
orchestra,
yeah.
and
That was,
that right. I mean, where do you see that?
that was a different. That was definitely a different experience for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and I thank you for appreciating that.
no,
Yeah,
I've.
and that's, I mean, in 2016 is the first time where I actually started training outside of that. Is the it was the first time that I started taking uh looking at the dance from a different lens. And like I said, it worked out much better
Yeah.
uh, for me and for us. You know what I mean? It was tough, man. I paid a lot of money for SR. I bought it. I spent a lot of money to do it. So when I decided to walk away from it, you know, there was a lot up in the air, and a lot of people said I shouldn't do it, and a lot of people said I should do it. So I was very torn. But in the end, I know I made the right decision because of how I felt afterwards. I was relieved. I was, again, my time with SR was cool, but I was definitely over it. And being able to start something that was mine, and that I was able to take it in the direction that I saw it was definitely very special for me.
Yeah, man, because again, it's kind of like your own little baby, your own personal
Yeah,
creation in a sense. But what I love too is that for me, I felt like Huracan truly was just separate from a lot of other dance schools and dance companies. But for me, I've always wanted to ask you, what did you feel that, or did you feel like your company either was a step ahead, or even just saying, were you guys, did you feel like you were different than many of the different companies throughout the city and I mean throughout the states, really?
I think that we took uh, certain chances that were a little different, especially like in 2015. I feel there was a real uh, mold as to how the routines were looking. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of had this formula,
Yeah.
and it worked because it really appealing to the eye, and I wanted to break out of that. Like that's I wanted to try different things. So, for example, instead of just having your typical three couple formation or four couple formation that were kind of, I wanted to try, hey, let's make a W. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So let's move. Let's, instead of just doing the turn pattern in place, let's take it and let's move across the floor. Uh, you know, and keep our footwork. But those things kind of uh, started creating what our look was. I can't even say it was purposely done. It was just like, what if we try this? What if we try that? And we would, everything's on the table. Let's try everything. And if it works, we keep it. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something else. So in the end, that was more of what we were trying to do.
Okay.
You know what I
And
mean? So it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I think the Leafy was like, okay, this is this is chamber music, and this is the quartet, and we're gonna do this one. And half the team didn't want to do it at the time.
yeah.
They were like, "Nah, we don't want to do it, etc., etc." So, all right, well, we're gonna do it. So
Yes.
you should, you should think about it, because if you're not on board, you're not on board. And a couple people left, which was cool. But I don't think they understood exactly what it was that was going on. And then when
Yeah.
we put the quartet on the stage and we danced it, and we saw how different it was to actually do a choreography to live musicians that play it
Yes.
different, play it. Then it was like, okay, so and then mambo, we did a couple things that I had never tried before, and then the next routine, same thing. So even the last two routines, I mean, I did a clave section in the last routine, and then in Si Tu Me Besas, I was like, the goal was to put as many couples as possible. So we put
Yeah.
7 couples on the stage, which was hard. I've never performed with 7 couples before.
Yeah.
But not only performing with 7 couples, because you could put 7 couples in windows and you're fine. But 7 couples, when you're going from formation to formation to
Yep.
formation, it's just really hard to do. It's not anything easy. So just trying to be creative, trying to try new things, and and just rocking with it.
Absolutely, and I think too, it's a really big testament to seeing that throughout your years, especially with Huracan, the amount of different high level dancers that have been able to be a part of your company at one point in time. That's something really special. Because I think over the at least probably past 5 years, seeing the amount of talent that's been able to say I'm part of Huracan, but also then taking your talents to the competitive stage at the
Yeah,
the World Salsa Summits. I think that definitely put you guys in a different stratosphere, I would say, because again, you were coming out different on the social setting, on the stages, but then now in the competitive world, you saw that what you were creating, there was something there, and it was rewarding at the end of the day.
yeah. I mean, it was, and again, I mean, everybody told me that if I competed, it would be the end of my career. It
uh,
would be the end, because they were like, "Listen, you're not designed to compete. There's a lot of teams that are good, but then their routines wouldn't do well in competition as is. So our team wouldn't have done well as is. But what I had to do was educate myself on competition.
yeah.
What's the criteria? What does it mean? What does timing really mean? What are they looking for? And then I had to make adjustments for that. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I came out with the cha cha routine at Connecticut
Yes. I
2015.
love.
And that was the first routine that kind of put me like put brought attention to me as a choreographer.
This,
So
yeah.
we debuted in Connecticut in 2015, and the crowd popped. Everybody loved the routine, and they held us down. We were people would call me all the time. Hey, we want this routine. We want this routine.
Yep.
And matter of fact, one of the things that actually brought the routine down a little bit was the transition, because I choreographed it as I saw, and when I became Huracan, people were confused as to who choreographed it, and our work had dropped completely. So drummers kind of got put to the side. So long story short, a couple years later, we go into summer in 2017, and then in 2018 when we come back, people tell me BNT, huh? So we come back, and someone suggested that I compete. It was Anya actually. Anya suggested, "Hey, that
Yeah.
routine you have? Why don't you compete with it?" So I'm like, "All right, well, I haven't done the routine in a while. Julie, let's do it. Let's see what's up." And once we start dancing, and we're like, "All right, this won't win at all. We need to redo every bar, literally every bar, and whatever we keep, we need to change it so that it's competition ready."
Yes.
And we did it, and we won. But it wasn't easy, because when I choreographed that routine the first time, my mind was in a different place.
Yeah.
So when I had to fix the footwork for competition and all that, it made the routine not pop as much, but it made it twice as hard. So it didn't have that same crowd effect, but
Yeah.
it was also twice as hard. So, but we did it, and it worked. We did it, and it worked. So,
All right.
we were doing with that. So,
Absolutely. And honestly, I would definitely tell you that Soul Drummers is one of my favorite routines from Huracan. That orange outfit,
yeah,
fire. The natural hair with Julie, just the curls was
yeah,
fire. And for me, definitely that routine. But there's so many other routines that I've seen that I love. That with Huracan, there was always something different. It always kind of pushed the envelope, and especially when it came to turn patterns, realizing you can tell that the team trained instead of just doing it a few times and feeling like they have it. You can tell the amount of hours and amount of sweat and
yeah.
time it takes to really get a routine like Huracan's routines down packed. Because honestly, one mess up and it really changes everything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Absolutely. And at least before we start understanding the present, there is a segment that I do called the randoms, which is 10 questions here that allow myself and the audience to kind of get to know you a little bit more better. Some questions are regular life questions, some are dance related, but hopefully,
All
we can
right,
definitely have some fun. So let me know when you are ready.
I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
ready to go.
All right. Your favorite food?
Shout out to Kojak. I like your post. Shout out to uh, I shouted out Julie, to Leo. Dímelo. Shout out to, is that Kim? I think that's Kim.
Yeah, that's
I want to
Kim.
say that's Kim. Shout out to Shadow. Shadow's been posting. Jose Pimentel. Uh, he's a friend of mine from childhood. One of my best friends. You brought up military earlier. He's in the army.
Yeah.
He's almost 20 years in,
Oh, wow.
which is So shout out to Cello. But go ahead.
No, no, no. I was saying the first question was, what is your favorite food?
Well, it depends. Is Edwin on here?
He
Edwin's,
might. He might be.
yeah, I think he left because he would have commented already. Um, my favorite food. Julie, you want to answer that? Haven't
I'm assuming that's the right answer.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's what Edwin was a role. Lewis jumped on it. Lewis is another friend of mine from childhood. He's another
Oh my
friend of mine
God.
from childhood. So yeah. So we'll go with that. We'll go with that,
Okay.
Lewis. That, appreciate it.
All right. Let me see. What is your favorite? Oh wait, I think Julie has it here. Half a
Same
chicken.
thing.
Yes, half a chicken. Same things. Oh my God, we got to give some love to the Chinese spots out here, man. They
Yeah.
definitely be hooking it up. The next one would be, what is your favorite salsa song?
My favorite. Oh, I have it. Um, to this day, Oscar de Leon, Sigue tu Camino, has always been my social dance song since
Okay.
I started.
I like that. I definitely like that. Next one would be, what would be your dream vacation destination?
Well, I think I had it. I got booked to go to Hawaii this year. That was
Oh,
Hawaii. I really want to go back.
I,
We went to Hawaii about 2 weeks before everything got shut down.
oh wow. That
Yeah,
you
that was my
definitely that was a great vacation for you for
well, at
sure.
least it was a good way to go out. But yeah,
Yeah.
Hawaii was awesome.
I think I might know the answer to this next one, but what did you want to be at 10 years old?
Baseball player.
I knew it. I was about to go. Let me see. The
Yeah.
next question would be, what is your funniest performance moment? This can
My
be a mess up, this can be something you saw on stage.
uh, my funniest performance moment. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you're saying like a funny incident, not like
Yes, something that you saw, either it happened to you or you've seen it on stage happen to someone else.
um. Damn, that's tough for me because let me think. Well, my second New Year Congress, we did a show and the guys came forward and I was in the middle and I used to always come out and like yell and when I came out, it was like this really cheap shirt with these really cheap buttons. So when I came out, all the buttons popped open. I was dancing and I had a gray tank top under because I was stupid enough not to to put on what you know. So I was like dancing and the shirt is completely open. And Natasha, uh, what's her last name? Natasha that dances with Delia. That she used to dance with Yamule.
Yes, yes, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Natasha, yes.
Natasha, she stood up in the crowd because she knew me. She was really young at the time. She stood up and she was like, she went like this. And when I looked down, all out. You know, I had the chest hair sandwich going.
Oh
My
my
blood,
God. That
my
I
man
like
booty
that.
almost popped out. Yeah. So that was fun.
We all have those kind of moments. All right, next one would be your favorite Congress of all time.
Okay. So my favorite Congress of all time, I'm gonna name two. Because I'm gonna name my favorite and my second favorite.
Okay.
Uh, um, it's the New York Congress, right? New York Congress because it was my first Congress because I was overwhelmed with what I saw. I was really new in the scene when I went to my first Congress.
Yeah.
The New York Congress is always personal, and they always take care of us in a good way. And you know, we actually we've closed. I think 3 out of the last 5 years on the night, and the reaction is always overwhelming. You know, sometimes I don't feel I get love from New York, and then the New York Congress comes along, and then I remember. And then you know, Connecticut Salsa Fest, which I have taken over, and we're rebranding to Tri-State Salsa Festival.
Oh
Think
wow.
it's a certain feel that the event
Hmm.
has that's
Yes.
always close to home. And out of all the traveling gigs, Berlin's house accounts. Just the attention to detail, the way they throw it down, everything, it's just fantastic.
That's awesome. I mean, showing that love to New York, and then speaking about honestly the venture of you now taking over the Connecticut Salsa Fest, and I definitely love
Shout out
that
to
event.
Luce.
Yes, man, that has like just a family atmosphere that I
Yeah.
absolutely love. And the next question would be, what would be your superpower?
Hmm. Fly. I want to fly.
All right,
Yeah, man.
let me
I
see.
want to fly.
All right, next.
Oh,
Actually, you know what? This next question I'm actually going to take from one of the guests here, Jose. And he asks us, what still makes you nervous now that you've been on the big stage?
as far as performing, is that
I'm assuming maybe.
what what gets me nervous now is making sure everybody is ready.
Mm,
Everybody else,
yeah.
and that's probably a problem because I haven't really. I can't remember the last time I got myself really, really ready to perform. I'm trying to do that now. I'm trying
And I
to.
think he also
I'm
says, though, also in life.
huh? And
I think he says now in life. So, of course, we understand with dancing, I guess more now in life.
making sure I can pay the bills. That was rough, man. We were closed for 6 months. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Hmm.
So I mean, just things don't. There's the sad reality is that there is a chance that we may not survive it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me nervous. I feel like if we don't survive it, I'll figure it out. I'll do something else. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's not. It doesn't scare me. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. It doesn't. It'll take me a few years to get back, but it doesn't. I'm not terrified.
Hmm.
I'm just not the type of person. I know now. I know now. I didn't know this when I was 23, but I know now that no matter what happens, I can find. I can dig myself out of whatever situation I'm
I love that. I love seeing that even through what we're going through, you're able still to realize that you can persevere. Because I think a lot of people nowadays, they're just mind is juggling and they're just trying to figure out what they can do to stay afloat. And I would say the next question would be, who are three people that are most influential to you at this point in your life?
in. Three people. Um, my brother is a really big influence on me. My brother Abel.
Yeah,
He,
man, I love Abel.
he just has a unique way of dealing with life. It's
All
very
right. He's more out there, and you're more subdued. I would say he's more the loud one and crazy and just spontaneous.
yeah. He's nuts, no doubt. He's nuts. He's a smart guy though. My brother's very smart. I think we're both smart in different ways. But he's
Yeah,
he's a very smart guy. He's more of a social butterfly than I am. You know what
gotcha.
I mean? And he's a little bit more reckless with what he says. He doesn't really
Yeah.
have a filter. I'm a little
Mm,
bit. I'm a little bit more politically correct. But
gotcha.
my brother is very influential. Um, I mean, my brother. I would say, my parents. They they influenced me a lot, and I'm gonna say which they probably would be surprised, but like my immediate friends, like my immediate group of friends, especially like my guy friends that I grew up with, it's impressive to see the way they have changed and they have grown up, and you
Yeah.
know they're all fathers, and the ones that are not fathers, they all have their careers, they all got their head on straight, they're all good men, and to be able to see that is been motivating me, and it's made me want to be a better person.
I love that. I love that. And the last question will be, and this actually comes from Sarah Mary Grace, is she asks, are we performing in 2021? And this is
I mean, I hope so. I hope so, but who knows, man? With everything that's going on, I started putting together a new number,
yeah.
and I mean, I really love the way it's coming out. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to put it on stage. It was I love the song, so I wanted to put it down. I wanted to put down my ideas down. So I've used Julie, and I've been able to use Luis like 2 or 3 times. So I have that, and I have my routine that I'm doing with Catherine also. So I
Mm.
would like to get to do these two numbers especially.
Yeah.
Um, and the new coaching number. It's just I have a vision for this one, and it will be really exciting if I could see what it has started out with. If I could see it turn into something, but
Yeah.
there's a lot going on right now in the world. You know,
Absolutely.
so we have a long way to go before we can get
Absolutely.
to a stage.
Yeah. No, and definitely. And again, I definitely thank you at least for taking that time to do that quick segment. I definitely feel like it's helped me get to know you more and know kind of where your feelings are on things. And definitely for the people that have asked these questions, I definitely love it. And now it helps me transition into the present day, and really understanding, like you talked about and touched on, how COVID really has changed our dance community. We don't have socials like we used to. We don't have congresses. We don't have events for dance directors like yourself. You have choreos that you don't know where you can present them. But
Right.
it has seemed that you have been one of the few directors that still has optimism, that still feels that they can contribute to their dance community in some capacity. And really, my question to you is understanding from these last 8 to 9 months, in a sense, how have you been able to adapt to everything?
I mean, I don't even know if I could say shout out to Kiara.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if, I don't know if I'm adapting. I think I'm responding to what's going on. A lot of people, I don't. A lot of people may not know this, but I had COVID in March, and I got really really sick,
Wow.
and it scared me because I was like, I was pretty much shut down, and at that time I was alone in my apartment, and I didn't really want to talk about it because there was so much going on. I was like, it's getting worse, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And um, I was pretty much sick for 4 weeks or something crazy like that. So for me, I don't want to be responsible for anybody else getting like that. So we've opened in Connecticut, but we've been very limited, very restricted. Only a few classes a week. Um, one day for privates, just shortening the classes, all that stuff. And it's slowly picking up, I guess. But who knows? I mean, this is they tell you in business, right? The rule of thumb
Yeah.
is you should be able to support yourself for 6 months in the
Yeah.
case of an emergency. Okay. Well, I've done way more than 6 months at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I can continue to do it, because you just don't know. I'm hoping that a vaccine comes out in 2 months and people start taking it and things start coming back to normal. But I don't know. I don't know what our dance scene is going to look like. At
Yeah.
the very least, I think that anybody that's a independent contractor or self-employed understands now that we don't have security blanket. This is it. So I
Hmm.
think a lot of people are going to reevaluate their current status, their current work status, their where they are, and they're gonna take it from there. I was lucky enough to do a lot of things right, so I was able to sustain for a bit. But a lot of the studios have not made it, and it crushes me,
Yeah.
regardless of who it is, because it's like, man, I understand how difficult it is, and I understand the challenges of
Yeah.
actually putting together something like this, and for it to go down because of something you can't control. That's very, very difficult. But at the same time, we can't have people dying because of whatever reason. We need to be patient, and it'll come back. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Is it gonna come back in 6 months? Is it gonna come back in a year? Is it gonna come back in 2 years? That's the answer that nobody knows. That's the question that nobody knows the answer to.
Yeah.
So I feel for everybody. I understand the. I was in my house for 2 months without seeing anybody, right? Having contact with anybody. I live alone, and I found myself like having conversations with myself. Like I'd be watching
Mm.
TV and yo, Jeff, that's dope. And like you literally start doing it. I
Yeah.
understand the depression, and I feel
Hmm.
for everybody, and I hope that we can make some type of a comeback. But it's tough. It's tough to really say any to give a definitive answer on any
Yeah.
of it. A
I
lot
know.
of our left New York. It's tough, man. It's heartbreaking.
No, it is, and realizing that you can be as truthfully honest and transparent as you are to talk about what you've been through these last few months, and I'm just thankful to know that you're doing well and you're in a lot better spirits from what I can see.
Yeah.
And for me, I think too, this is a true reason why I do something like this and have this platform, because to understand your story beyond you just being a dancer, but you just being a human being. And for me too, I think it's so important that we've been able to get your story and understand who Jeff is as a person. And
Yeah.
a question I definitely have is, from everything you've been experienced from in your life pertaining to dance, but just you as a person, what have really been the biggest lessons that you have learned over the years that's helped you become the man you are today?
In this, I've been trying to give that message throughout this and recently, but I think the biggest thing I've learned, especially through this dance, right, which I didn't learn. I've actually been learning it since I was younger. The only thing at the end of the day, the only thing you have left is the relationships you build.
Yeah.
Everything else is temporary. The stage is temporary. Uh, Being on a team is temporary. It's not like, if you think about it realistically, if you
Hmm.
look at your whole life, how much of it will you actually be able to dedicate to dance,
Yeah.
right? And the reality is that whether you're a full-time professional like myself, or you're an amateur or whatever, everything has a time span. Everything
Hmm.
has a window.
Yeah.
Uh, the when you play sports as a kid, eventually the sport is gonna tell you like, all right, you're done.
Yep.
It's just a matter of when. For some people, in middle school, it tells you you're done. For some people in high school, some people in college, some people professional. But eventually, everything tells you that you're gonna be told you're done. So the only thing you're
Yeah.
gonna have is the memories you made and your friendships. That's it. Like there's really nothing else. And the stories that come, I can't tell you um, anything else about the Berlin show. I can only tell you two things. I threw the skirt, and I got my camera before the last show so that when we did our bow, I can bring my camera out and record the audience. I don't remember anything about the show. It's just irrelevant. The show is non-existent, even though it was one
Yeah.
of our best experiences. I can't tell you anything. We won Summit. We won 2 championships, which at the time it was something that had never been done. I don't think it's been done. Well, we did it last year, and we're
Yeah.
the first team to do it. I can't really tell you anything about the shows. I can tell you um, how people reacted in my circle when they heard our name both times. I can tell you, the next day when we went to hang out as a group. That I can tell you. But I can't tell you. That's why, like with my team, even with them, I would always tell them, I don't care about mistakes. Mistakes are not going to define me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? A mistake in a show is a good way to create a story. Like, hey, did you see
Yeah.
that mistake? But did you see that comeback? It's
Yeah.
really more about their experiences as a group, as a team, the relationships and the memories. Everything else is secondary, and everything else is temporary.
That is a great lesson. I mean, again, I love that you just have that focus of moving on to the next
Yeah,
and always
and just
real.
real quick, because I know I got some people on here.
Yeah.
This year in Summit when we competed, I- you know, I could have probably done a better job of getting our team ready. We weren't fully ready because we ran out of time. But the one thing that I knew for sure it was that it was more important for me to do it with the group that I was doing than to make um, adjustments to win. I didn't want to make any adjustments because it would have given us a better chance to win. I just wanted to
Yeah.
hang with the people I was with, and and in the end, that's why. And people thought, you're gonna go out there and lose, it's gonna hurt your career, and the reality is, it didn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
COVID hurt my career, not that.
No, I definitely I agree with you in realizing that over the years, again, you have learned lessons, and it wasn't performances. It's really the experiences you've had with others that have given you the lessons along the way. And for me, I think again, this dance scene has given me so much experiences, and for me, being able to meet people like yourself and through the years helped me mature as a person and kind of be balanced and level headed and not thinking too highly of things, of just being in the moment. So
Right.
for me, it's like, I think it's so important, and I'm glad that we've been able to have this talk because I think it is needed to really check up on the dancers that for me, that mean the world to me because of all the time and effort that you put in with you and your team and the traveling and the costumes and the practices. You deserve that moment to be celebrated for everything you've done thus far. And I'm glad that at least tonight we were able to have this type of discussion because I think it's going to lead to more discussions and more understanding. And at least too, before we do go, I would love if you can give myself and the audience some last few words, but also to give contact information on how people can reach you and see how you're doing.
All right, real quick though, shout out to um, Carlos. I hope you're surviving, my brother. I hope
Yes.
I'll see you soon. Shout out to Christian. Christian got music out there. Um,
Yeah.
Page out. Christian's one of the most talented uh, people I've had the opportunity to work with. He's also a clown. Shout out to Carmen. I want to congratulate you on your new endeavors. Carmen's like a sister to me. We started SR together. Um, just she's just an awesome person. Um, Shout out to Luz. Luz is also an amazing person, along with her husband. Uh, Anybody else? Mary Lou. Mary Lou is the captain of my ladies team.
Mm,
She, just so, I'm surrounded by awesome people.
yeah.
That's why I've been able to do well because that's what it's really about, man.
Yeah.
When you're around people that it's just constant laughing and throwing jabs at each other in beautiful ways and wonderful
Yeah.
ways. There's nothing but awesomeness to come out of that. So shout out to
No.
Jackie.
Absolutely,
She's
man.
she got her hands full with her two grandbabies. Beautiful,
Yeah.
Jackie. So now nothing, man. Everybody just keep your head up and let's you know keep uh, um what's the quote? I said it the other day. Um, it goes like this: as you ramble through life, no matter what the goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. And that's all I'm doing. Just keeping my eye on the donut, ignoring the hole.
I like that. I really do like that, man. And, honestly, again, I think tonight has really been special for not just myself, but also the audience because we get to understand who you are, Jeff, beyond just the person they see on stage and just realizing how much of a honest, true human being that you are and how you're really truly humble. I mean, you have a persona about you that is strong, but the fact is you have a team behind you and also a community behind you that no matter when you feel like you're not hitting it at that point, or you may not feel like you always get that love, like you said earlier, I think in retrospect, when you see even the comments here, I mean, people honestly love you and see the contribution you've done. And I think, again, this is why I'm glad to have you on because we can be able to celebrate you, even through everything we're going through now and seeing that you're still able to keep your head up. And also, at least, what's some contact info that you could actually leave us with so if people want to see what new projects or virtual classes you may have online as well?
I mean, you can right now the best website for us is LatinMovesDance.com because most of our classes are in Connecticut right now. We're not really doing anything in New York because it's just a little bit difficult. You guys know our lease ended a year ago. Our Facebook page we try to keep it updated. And I'm gonna be more active now. Again, I've
Yeah.
had some health issues. I just had a minor surgery recently, so I kind of had to take it easy. But as now I'm gonna try to get more on it, and I'm going to try to be a little bit more active. I know I kind of disappeared for a little bit, but I need to kind of take a step back and reflect. And hopefully we can put on a Congress this year. I mean, that's really my last goal in the South is to put on a Congress. And one of the things I had an idea for in the Congress was to have a live podcast with the artists. So maybe we can get you to come down
Oh,
and
absolutely.
for us. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, I mean, guys, thank you for listening to me to talk crap for an hour and a half.
No, man. Honestly, like I think honestly, just throughout this whole interview, we
Was
just
there a
really
question
been.
I missed? Was there a question? I thought I saw. I could be wrong.
Let me see. There actually might have been a question. Let me just double
Just in
check.
case, because I.
No, we. Oh yes, there is actually one question before we do close out from Henry Ramos saying, "Any tips for social dance withdrawal?"
Do some shines in your house, man. Maybe it's good. Maybe the social dance withdrawal is good because over the last 2 or 3 years, everybody has been complaining about the social dance. Or boring. It's the same music. It's the same DJs. It's the same people. Now we have nothing. So now I think we can appreciate how important social dancing really was. So
Yeah.
hang in there, man. I mean, there's socials happening. I don't know if you want to partake. I don't, I don't feel right now. For me, I know that it's not the best time to do any of that. But
Yeah.
hopefully, we start figuring it out early 2021. So
Yeah.
day tomorrow, go get out there and vote.
Absolutely. Please, everybody, definitely get out there, go and vote. And, honestly, Jeff, I really, again, I thank you for taking the time out and the effort and trusting me to have this type of conversation because for my many years in this scene, I'm glad that I can have a platform like this to bring artists like you on to talk about everything. But again, like many of my guests, we have our first interview and hopefully we can have you on for about season 5. Um, in the beginning of next year to really catch up with you and see how you've been. Because I think, again, you can't really get the full story in just one interview. So I definitely would love to have you back on. And again,
Don't
much
worry,
love.
I got a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah. So we're definitely going
Shout
to.
out to Carmela. Shout out to
Absolutely.
Carmela. She just jumped on there. I got a lot of stories for you, so don't worry about it.
Absolutely, man. And, honestly, again, Jeff, I appreciate your contribution to our dance community for so long. And I know, honestly, that your school is going to be one that will make it and push through. But no matter what, I want to thank you for everything you've been able to do for us as a community. And, this conversation is just one of many that I would love to have. So, I definitely hope you're staying safe. Of course, telling like everybody go out there and vote tomorrow. But most of all, again, I want you to stay safe, and we'll definitely be talking soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely,
Everybody.
everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Everyone, stay safe. And again, go out there and vote, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Take care.